And Alex Forbes has been in the market for 90 years. This is an amazing work. There are businesses that don't last 5 years in the market. Am I right? Some don't make it to 10 years. So this has been a great success. In fact, everyone in the room, put your hands together and congratulate yourself for going this far in business. Well done. Well done. A business that has been around for 90 years. This shows that you have survived so many revolutions. You have survived so many disruptions. And if you have survived those in the past, there is a chance that you will survive what is coming and what is already here. And so, but the reality is that what got you here will not get you there, because the world is changing so fast and the pace of change is exponential. What got you to 90 may not take you to 100. It may not take you to the next 90. So relying only on what had gotten you here is a recipe for disaster. 90 years has been 90 years of excellence. It's a legacy built on trust, expertise, and proven financial solutions. And now is the time to honor the past, but design for the future intentionally. Because clinging to old methods is the fastest way to become irrelevant in the age of disruption. The strategies that build the businesses, it won't sustain it. The strategy that brought Alex Forbes to 90, there is no guarantee that it will sustain it to the future or to the next decade or to the next 20, 30 years. Adaptability, innovation is needed. The courage to imagine how value is delivered in a world that wants things like this. We want to put popcorn in the microwave, and before it's finished, processes should be ready. That is how consumer demand is changing. We want to touch a button and pizza is at the door. Nobody want to go stand queues at the bank anymore. The next question I asked him was, when was the last time you've been to a bank? He said he does most of his financial transactions from his computer. He doesn't really need to go to the bank unless it is really necessary. So I was like, how then you're telling us this is not for Africa? Because this is how you desire things to be done. So the market is forced to adjust to that desire that you have. If you don't want to go stand queues in the branch, the bank has to adjust to meet you where you are, and this is what is happening. So we cannot sit back and say, oh, this is not for Africa, or this is not for our business. This is what the consumers want. They want things done like that. And when you take that into consideration, then you realize that you have work. There is work to be done. And there is a saying in the business world, maybe in the past, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But this used to be true in the past. Leave it as it is. If any business is adopting this type of mindset now, they are going to be left behind. Because in the age of intelligent disruption, proactive reinvention is your insurance policy. It is best to fix it before it gets broken. Fix what's working now while it is still working so that it keeps on working. Don't wait for it to be broken. Because organizations sometimes delay transformation, even individuals delay transformation until it is too late. Why? Because it's still working. What used to work still kind of works, but it is time for you to break things on your own so that it can survive the disruption that is coming or the disruption that is already here. Don't wait for it to be broken. We all know the story of Nokia, right? Anyone know Nokia in the house? Hello, I can't be the only old person in here. Thank you. We all know about Nokia, right? I remember being somewhere and my phone died, and there was nobody in that room with an Android charger for me to charge my phone. I was the only person with an Android phone. So back in the day, having a Nokia phone was like having an iPhone now. They were the king of the cell phone market. This Forbes magazine, as you can see, the CEO of Nokia at the time was at the cover of the magazine. This was in 2007, with the tagline, 1 billion customers who can catch the cell phone king. What a day, right? And there were a couple of these businesses that are no longer in existence today. BlackBerry as well, Kodak. You know, for the CEO to be that bold, they knew that they were dominating the market. Who can catch the cell phone king? less than 2 decades ago. But today, the Gen Zs don't know what a Nokia phone is. When you talk about a Nokia, like, what is that? They will literally have to go and Google. But this was the Apple or the iPhone back in the day. But they didn't innovate on time. They didn't react fast enough on time. As big as they were, market domination globally. Anybody remember the Nokia 3310? Please don't be shy. I can't be the only old person in here. The Nokia 3310. Yes. That was the phone. But they did not adjust fast enough. It didn't mean that they lacked the resources. They had the resources. Nokia was a wealthy company. They had the money, they had the talent, they had everything. So it wasn't lack of resources that kicked them out of the market. In the same 2007 was the same year the first iPhone was launched. But they were bragging about being the cell phone king and who can catch the cell phone king. Of course, at the time, Apple was still new in the market. So they were looking at it like, there's no way you can compete with us. So the same year they did this was the same year in which Apple iPhone was launched in the market. But they did not adjust fast enough. So no brand is too big to fail. So I say that to say no brand is too big to fail. No industry is too stable to be shaken. And no job is too sacred to be replaced. Yes, Alex Forbes has been in the market for 90 years. Maybe your tagline would be who can catch the financial king or the retirement fund king, somewhere along those lines. There could be some youngster building a system in their mother's basement somewhere that could disrupt your industry. You have that awareness, you wake up. Nobody is too big to fail. Success can create comfort, and comfort breeds complacency. We'll talk more about complacency as we go along. But this is what killed Nokia. They became too successful, too complacent. And they were like, we're good, we're fine. So the longer a company has been in the market, the greater the risk of being disrupted by those with nothing to lose but everything to prove. The earlier any big company sits up and starts looking, what do we need to change? What do we need to break now so that we can survive the disruption, the better? Because innovation isn't just about improving what works, but also about anticipating what's coming next. Had it been Nokia had anticipated, perhaps they would still be in the market now. But they failed in anticipating where the market was shifting, where the world was going. They failed in that. Like I already mentioned, it wasn't about lack of resources. They had everything, but lacked innovation. And so innovation is a mindset. When we talk of innovation, a lot of organizations start thinking of, how much money do we need? There are some problems that money cannot solve. Am I right? There are some problems that money cannot solve. Innovation is a mindset. You can have the biggest budget, but if you don't have big mindsets, people that think innovation, people that want to try things, if you don't have that, no amount of money will save you. No amount of success will save you. And so the future belongs to innovative thinkers, not degree holders. There are people with all the certifications, but when it comes to innovation, they are lacking. And if you can see, it intertwines. Personal innovation, corporate innovation, social innovation, eco-innovation, all of this is part of innovation. If you have people that don't take their own personal innovation seriously, your team is lacking. How do you win when people rely more on certification than actual innovation? A lot of people stack certificates like trophies, right? But when you really look deep in, there's really nothing else they're bringing to the table other than these certifications. And nothing wrong with certifications, but we need to start asking questions. The education system itself is still behind. It's struggling to catch up with where the world is going. So if you rely too much on an institution that is failing and you expect them to train you for the world that is coming, you are failing. So sometimes a 6-month course can be better than a 4-year degree. Because by the time you sign in for a 4-year degree today, and 4 years to come, the world would have moved on. Your degree might have become obsolete before you even finish it. So innovation is more about a mindset other than a degree. I've heard of organizations that cannot promote someone, even though they are great at what they do, but they won't promote them because they don't have a particular degree. And I'm like, this is a sinking organization. So innovation is a mindset. It's not certificates, it is not big budget, it is none of those things. And innovation can come from anywhere, at any time, and in any form, and in any shape. Again, some organizations, we have a team, an innovation team. The responsibility of innovation in this company belongs to these 5 people, or belongs to these, few individuals. That is a wrong approach. Innovation can come from anywhere at any time. So encourage your team, encourage the entire organization to bring forth their best ideas, even from someone who is a cleaner. They can have an idea that will help sustain the organization. Human beings are great at innovation, not just a particular few, not just a few team members put together, not just a particular department. So be open to ideas that come from people that you normally would not expect that to come from. Have that open mindset and let your people be open to share these ideas. Innovation at its core is about making things easier and cheaper. I remember being at an event in Pretoria, and I couldn't get into the building because they required my ID card, and I had forgotten it, but I had the digital one on my phone. So I was negotiating with the reception. I was like, I don't have the physical copy with me, but I have the digital copy. And I showed her. But she insisted, you can't get in without a physical copy. You will have to call the people that invited you to come all the way to the gate and pick you in, something like that. And behind the reception where she was sitting was boldly written, driving change through innovation or something, but the word innovation caught my attention. And I started discussing with her, and I told her, what's the point of innovation if you cannot let me get in without a physical ID? Isn't innovation about making processes easier and cheaper and all of that? And then she started laughing and she told me, Nikki, I understand what you're saying, but orders come from the top. So all the way from the top, they're given an order. No one gets in here without a physical ID. Again, it's about leadership at the top, not understanding what is happening in the ground, and keeping a culture that is no longer relevant when the times are changing and so many things can be done on your phone. But I digress. And so if we're going to talk about innovation, we have to talk about creating an atmosphere, an environment where innovation can thrive. Because there are people with great ideas, but they are so afraid to bring those ideas forward. What if I fail? Or what if I'm being laughed at? Or what if? All of these what ifs stifles innovation. So as leaders, create a safe environment for your people to try things. Don't throw people in the bin when they make a mistake, right? Because no one can truly innovate or create something meaningful without making mistakes. No one. And don't make failure a bad word. That when people fail, they just want to call in sick. Sorry, I can't come to work today. It should be okay to fail. I know it's okay. You tried. So if you demonize the word failure, then people are not able to have out-of-the-box thinking. They're not able to experiment. They're not able to try things. So create that environment where people find it easy to innovate.